Hello, hello. So now I'm going to show you how to do another fade. If you would ignore the paint clouds and the other bits, I'm going to show you how to fade a blue sky into a yellow, like early morning sky. So to do that, we're going to use yellow and we're going to use a blue. I generally like two blues, so I've got here sky blue and cerulean blue. Um, so I'll show you those. I'm going to put out the amount of paint on my canvas that I used before. I had to get a little towel to dry this plate off. It was still wet from just washing it. All right, so going to put a little bit of yellow out. If you watch my previous fade video, you'll see it's kind of the same amount. Not a huge amount, not a big blob. I'm going to put a little bit of my sky blue out. This one is kind of important to keep these colors separate. A lot of times I will use two separate plates. If the blues mix, you're going to end up with green. And it'll be the same on the hat, so we'll want to watch carefully to make sure that we keep those colors kind of separate. Got my hat here, my paint's ready, full cup of clear, clean water, and a nice clean brush. So the first thing I'm going to do again is just to kind of wet the hat in advance. Remember, I start down here close to the bill. You can see there's a little bit of red left in this brush from the previous hat that I painted. It shouldn't mess things up really. So again, I'm trying not to get the water on the bill, but I want to wet this whole area. And the reasoning for that is it's going to allow the paint to move across the surface of this cotton canvas nice and smoothly. We want our these colors to really kind of blend into each other, and the best way for that to happen is by having this nice wet surface. Alright, so I'm going to start down here at the base. I'm going to do yellow. These guys a little bit dry. So I'm getting my brush nice and soaking wet. I'm bringing that nice wet brush over to the plate. I'm doing that thing right now where I'm really making sure that the paint is mixed on the brush. If you have globs of paint on your brush, when you bring those to your hat, you'll end up with like a very kind of concentrated spot, which you don't generally want. So I'm going to start at the base again. So I'm just being very careful not to touch the brim of the hat. Just bringing that color all the way across the surface. And I'm going to bring it up, pull it up just a little bit. Nice thing about skies, especially if you're thinking of this as kind of a sky surface, is they're not even. They're not, so this doesn't have to be the exact same width all the way across. I'm not adding any more paint to my brush, but I am kind of blending that yellow up. I want it to be kind of subtle. Remember, when I bring the blue down, I'm not going to touch. I want to leave kind of a space here where they'll kind of fade into each other. So now I'm going to move to, remember I've got two blues. So this blue here is a sky blue, and then this is the cerulean. This is just a little bit darker than this blue. So I'm going to use the sky blue next. And I'm bringing, again, that really nice wet brush over. And I'm going to mix that. I'm being real conscious not to let these two come together. I'm making sure that I don't have any blobs of paint on my brush. They're about to touch. That's alright. I've got enough on my brush to do this piece. So going to start again. Notice my gap here. And I'm just going to bring that nice blue. Get it before the yellow mixes with it. You can see again why I said, if you remember, I said that you don't want to have these two paints on the same plate together. This is a very clear reason why. So you can see they're getting close to each other, and I'll bring that blue down, but if it touches the yellow, then potentially I'm going to get kind of a green. So I might just barely let it touch. And that's a good, right there's a pretty good fade. Alright, I'm going to be a little bit crazy here, so instead of getting a new plate, which I know I probably should do, I'm going to see if I can just mix this cerulean, this darker blue, just on the existing plate. So I brought a nice wet brush over to it. Now the main thing I'm focusing on right now is to make sure that I don't have any blobs of paint on this brush. See, I'm kind of corralling it away from the yellow. So I'm pretty happy with the way that has mixed. Now I'm just going to start here at the top. Be careful not to get this paint directly on that cap. What I'm doing right now is, so there was kind of some solid or some thicker paint up here, so I'm just kind of using my brush to kind of work that into the canvas. And I'm going to do a technique that I did kind of before, where I'm going to take most of the paint off of this brush. So I'm using my cup just to kind of clean it out. I'm going to take most of the water off this brush. So I'm using the edge of the cup just to kind of knock that water down. And now I'm just going to fade this blue down into that lighter blue. I might touch just a little bit of this. I want to water it down a bit. Some more of that. I want to have that. I've just decided I want this blue to come down more onto that sky blue. And the effect that I'm getting here through doing this work is that really pretty morning sky where it's still kind of dark from the night before, but the sun is kind of making the sky come alive. So there you go. There's a nice little fade from yellow into blue. Thanks for watching. Good luck.